Hey, beautiful friends. Welcome back to She Will Empower. I'm your host, Jessica Cherry. I'm a strategic intervention and empowerment coach, an NLP practitioner, a networking and empowerment community director, a certified sound bath practitioner, social media and marketing gal, and your Tuesday morning wake up club host on 94.3 KWVH Wimberley Valley Radio, where we bring real talk, real tools, and real empowerment straight to the airwaves. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. And if you're listening on the podcast replay, welcome to this space where we talk about mindset, growth, psychology, and the real life decisions that shape who we become. This show is for people who are trying to do better in life, the ones building businesses and careers, the ones raising kids, the ones caring for aging parents, and the ones reinventing themselves. And today, we're going to go deep. We're going to go deep into a deep spring clean, and not your closet and not your junk drawer, not just your kitchen pantry where you still have all the things with an expiration date of like 2023. No, we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about removing what's blocking your next level. Because let's be real for a second. Some of you are not overwhelmed because you're incapable. You're overwhelmed because your life has become overcrowded. And what do I mean by that? I mean, too many opinions. And by opinions, I mean other people's opinions. Too many tabs open and not just on your laptop. I'm talking about your mind. And too many draining conversations, especially from toxic people that are always complaining about everything, and they somehow find their way to you and your time. And even too many obligations, the ones that you can't find the way to say no to. I mean, overall, just too much emotional clutter, too much noise, too much access, too much guilt, too much comparison, too much energy being leaked into people, places, habits, and thoughts that no longer align with the person that you are becoming. And eventually, that emotional and physical chaos becomes so normal that peace starts to feel unfamiliar. That's a lot, right? That is a lot for me to even say. So let's talk about it. Okay, so first, let's say the quiet part out loud here, which is you cannot step into a new version of yourself while dragging around old energy. So I need you to hear me on that. Your next level requires space. And I think that's the part that nobody really wants to talk about, right? At least not enough. And why do I say that? Well, let me tell you. Everybody wants the glow up and everybody wants the healing. Everybody wants peace, the confidence, the success, the aligned relationship, the thriving business, and the healthy nervous system. But very few people want to release what's incompatible with those things because releasing can feel uncomfortable. And beyond uncomfortable, releasing can feel scary, right? I mean, it's scary sometimes. And sometimes it's easier to stay emotionally attached to chaos because chaos feels familiar. And familiarity can feel safer than transformation, even when the familiarity is hurting you. See, some people are walking around every day, every single day of their lives, carrying expired friendships, resentment, self doubt, guilt, constant overstimulation, negative self talk, people pleasing habits, comparison addiction, doom scrolling, that one's really popular, and emotional caretaking, and environments that drain the life out of you. And then wondering why you feel so emotionally exhausted all the time. My dear, if this is you and it feels like I am hitting home, let me say this with really kind words. Your nervous system was never designed to carry this much clutter. Do you think the caveman version of you carried this? No, not emotionally, not mentally, not energetically. They didn't do any of that. They just, did their thing and went home. And I think a lot of people right now are living in survival mode without even realizing it because survival mode doesn't look dramatic. Sometimes survival mode looks like constantly being available even when you're exhausted and always saying yes at your own inconvenience and never resting. And if you keep going and going, even when your tank is on E, you still say yes, and you don't rest. Or it can also be over explaining yourself because you feel guilt or other some type of way, or feeling guilty for slowing down, checking your phone like 400 times a day, consuming negativity nonstop, and staying connected to people who are emotionally draining you and abandoning yourself to keep the peace. That's clutter too. It's not just physical, all right? And today we are gonna clean house. So let's start. Let's start with the mind first, right? The mind. The mind is important because honestly, some of y'all don't even need more motivation. You need less mental noise. Your brain cannot thrive in constant overload. It's like drinking water from a fire hose, if you can picture that. That would be tough, right? And modern life, it's overstimulating. In our modern world, our life, you wake up and you immediately what? Check your phone, right? Check the notifications. We do the scroll, we scroll social media, we absorb other people's opinions, you compare yourself, and constantly it's consuming fear-based news, answering texts, and taking care of everybody else. But before your nervous system has even fully woken up, you're already in this mental space. And then people wonder why they feel anxious all the time. My friend, your brain is overloaded, your spirit is overloaded, and your emotions are overloaded. You're just overloaded with all this consumption. And if your mind is cluttered, your life will feel cluttered too, because your outer world eventually mirrors your inner world. And that's why mental spring cleaning matters. So here's the question: what thoughts have become squatters in your mind? You know what I mean? The repetitive thoughts like, I'm behind, I'm not enough, nobody cares, I always mess things up, why do I even try? Everybody else is doing better than me. Those kind of thoughts. Can we normalize the fact that not every thought deserves your trust? Seriously. Because some thoughts are just based out of your fear or your conditioning or insecurity, projection, or trauma responses or comparison, or just plain old survival patterns. They're not based on truth. And one of the most dangerous things you can do is build an identity around thoughts that were never true to begin with. Your thoughts alone have the power to propel you or to bring you down. And the thing that most people don't realize is that you are in the driver's seat with the gas pedal pushed down. It's just, what direction are you going to go? What path are you driving down? That is the direction, right? So I want to go deeper on this. Your environment is programming you every single day. And what do I mean by this? I mean the people around you, the music you consume, the conversations you entertain, the content you watch, the energy in your home, the accounts you follow, the way people speak to you, the way you speak to yourself. All of it matters. It's all you, your whole person. You cannot constantly consume negativity and then expect inner peace. And I think some people underestimate how deeply environments affect mental health. There are people listening right now who are trying to heal while surrounded by chronic complainers, gossip circles, emotionally immature people, chaos, insecurity, passive aggressiveness, manipulation, negativity, or people who secretly resent their growth. And that environment keeps pulling them backwards. Listen carefully. Not everybody wants you to evolve or succeed. Some people only feel comfortable with the version of you that they could access, control, guilt, or emotionally dump on. And the moment you start setting boundaries like healing, growing, protecting your peace, some people get uncomfortable. And not because you've changed for the worse, but because your growth exposed their unwillingness to support you grow. Okay, we're going here. Some friendships are emotional clutter. They just are. And I know that's hard to hear because not every toxic relationship looks abusive. Some relationships are simply draining. The people that are committed to negativity, every conversation is complaining and always talking behind your back, but never saying anything to your face. You know the ones that I'm talking about. I know a couple of them. Every conversation is complaining, drama, victimhood, criticism, chaos, gossip, insecurity, jealousy, or emotional dumping, just all of that nonsense and that toxicity. And after spending time with them, you feel exhausted, right? Like a Jedi mind trick. You feel exhausted. And that matters. Your body keeps score of the environments that you stay connected to. So let me say this clearly. Having compassion for people does not mean sacrificing your mental health to carry them. And some people were conditioned to believe being a good person means overextending yourself emotionally. And no, that's just not the case. No, really, that is not the case. It's really a no. Being loving should not require self abandonment. And honestly, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to create distance. Not everybody deserves unlimited access to your energy, especially if they constantly disrespect your boundaries or drain your nervous system or compete with you or guilt trip you or minimize your growth or complain about your growth or only call when they need something or only call when they're complaining, like texters that only, complain. That is not alignment. That is emotional exhaustion. So, I'm glad we talk about that because moving on, let's talk about people pleasing for a minute. Let's do that because that's right here. This is one of the biggest forms of emotional clutter that people carry. It's people pleasing. People pleasing creates resentment. First off, flat out resentment. It also creates burnout, anxiety, exhaustion, and identity confusion because eventually you stop asking, what do I want? Right? And you start asking what keeps everybody else comfortable. And that's dangerous. Some people have spent years shape shifting themselves to avoid rejection, conflict, criticism, abandonment, and being misunderstood. And slowly, but it does happen, they lose themselves. And listen, your next level cannot be built on self abandonment. There's just no way. It doesn't equal each other. At some point, you're going to have to stop organizing your life around everybody else's comfort because constantly betraying yourself to maintain approval, that is emotional clutter too. And honestly, that's a really bad way to live your life. Don't do it. Now that was loaded. That was loaded. So I want to pivot and I want to talk about digital spring cleaning. I want to change the track a little bit because that one was big. This one's big too. So your phone may be overstimulating your nervous system more than you realize. And listen, I know we are all attached to it. I'm guilty of it too, myself included. But the truth, hear me out here. Let's talk about digital clutter because some of y'all are consuming content all day long that's quietly destroying your inner peace. And your brain was not designed to process this much information constantly. So, what do I mean by all this? Let me simplify it. You're watching everybody else's highlight reels, right? Everybody else's opinions. And these opinions can be on politics, religion, what your neighbor's complaining about, whatever. Everybody's opinions, everybody's bodies, like who lost weight, who did what, who's wearing what, right? That's all on people's feeds, whether we want to know about it or not. Everybody's successes and then comparing yourself to them, everybody's relationships, everybody's drama, everybody's fake perfection, and then wondering why you suddenly feel inadequate. Listen to me really well right here. I'm going to go drop this on you. Comparison, that whole comparing thing, comparison is emotional pollution. And sometimes the most healing thing you can do for yourself is to unfollow it. Unfollow people and accounts who trigger insecurity in you. Not out of hate. It's not because you hate them and then you're going to unfollow them. Out of self protection. You do not owe social media access to your nervous system, right? That sounds funny, but you don't owe social media access to your peace. You really don't. Mute people, mute them. Press the mute button, unfollow accounts, delete apps if needed, take breaks, because Constantly consuming noise keeps you disconnected from yourself. All right. So, if we're going to look at our phones and computers right now as sources of potential cluttering, then we're going to give it a good spring cleaning, right? Just spring clean it all. So now we're going to talk about physical space. So we did the friends, we did the digital, now we're going to talk about physical space because physical clutter, your environment, that affects your nervous system more than people realize too. See, clutter creates visual stress. And when your environment constantly feels chaotic, your body can remain in low grade stress mode without you even noticing. So, listen, this is not about perfection. In my mind, there's no such thing as perfect. This is about not having a Pinterest house. You can have a 2002 house or a 1995 house, and it's perfectly fine, right? It's normal. Your kitchen towels don't need to be shaped into bows, and your living room doesn't have to look like no one lives in it. It's totally cool. Instead, this is about cleaning and creating an environment that feels safe, peaceful, supportive, and aligned. See, clutter can lead or be a symptom of depression. And sometimes depression can look like laundry piles, unopened emails, cluttered counters, dishes everywhere, messy cars, chaos in every room. And shame keeps people stuck there. But I need you to hear me out. You're not lazy. You are overwhelmed. And I get there myself. Sometimes I get really overwhelmed and it's just a crazy house. It gets like that sometimes. I mean, life is life and it happens, right? And healing often starts with creating small moments of order. Tiny shifts matter. I always say that, but you know what? I truly believe that. So making your bed, it matters. Cleaning your car matters. Opening the blinds matters, and throwing away old junk matters because every small act sends a message to your nervous system and your brain. And it says, I deserve care too. And you really do. Okay, friends. The next part, this one is going to get a little bit emotional, but it's necessary for a spring cleaning, so let's talk about it. Because sometimes the clutter isn't physical. Sometimes it's the identity that you've outgrown, right? Can we talk about how hard it is to release old versions of ourselves, especially the old versions that have survived really hard seasons, the old versions of us that have protected us or that have kept you functioning, helped you stay loved, got you through trauma. A lot of people are trying to step into their next level while still emotionally attached to an old identity. And I am totally guilty of that myself. You know, the overgiver, the fixer, the people pleaser, the hyper independent person, the person who tolerated bare minimum behavior, or the one who stayed small to avoid making others uncomfortable, or even the one who apologized for taking up space, or the one who abandoned themselves for approval. And that version of you may have helped you survive, but they may not be the version that is designed to help you lead your next chapter, right? And that's sometimes hard. Growth requires grieving. And I think that's a part that nobody is prepared for when they grow. Because healing is not just becoming someone new, healing is also mourning. It's mourning who hurt you or who broke you, what never happened, who never showed up, and the version of yourself that normalized the suffering. That is deep. And sometimes spring cleaning your life means admitting, you know what, this version of me, it came and it's going to have to go because it's not the one that I want to keep where I'm going to. So, leading into that, I want to talk about peace. All right. Let's talk about peace because peace is not weakness, peace is discernment. And honestly, some people have normalized chaos so deeply that peace feels boring. And that's real. And if you grew up around dysfunction, unpredictability, emotional inconsistency, criticism, chaos, instability, or survival mode, your nervous system can become addicted to intensity, which means healthy things may initially feel unfamiliar. So, what do I mean by this? I mean, calmness can feel suspicious, or consistency may feel strange, or boundaries may feel uncomfortable, softness may feel safe. And that doesn't mean that peace is wrong. It means your nervous system is learning something new. So I think of one of the biggest glow ups a person can have is becoming emotionally unavailable for chaos, right? Just not available emotionally. Sorry, chaos, not today. Close the door. Unavailable for chaos, unavailable for the drama, the gossip, the manipulation, constant negativity, emotionally immature behavior, inconsistencies, and just overall environments that destroy your nervous system, right? Just unavailable for that. Just no thank you. That is power because protecting your peace is not selfish, it's survival, right? So we're going to protect our peace now. And all this gossiping, negativity, low vibration. Can we have a real conversation about that for a second? Some people are emotionally bonded through negativity, right? So some friendships survive only because they revolve around complaining, gossiping, judging people, criticizing others, or talking about what's wrong all the time. You know who they are. They're the complainers. They're always complaining about something. Somebody is always messing with them. They're always unhappy. Somebody's copying them. Somebody's doing this or that or the other. They're always complaining. And eventually, that energy that they are dishing out, if you let that around you, that energy starts contaminating your spirit. Because what you repeatedly consume emotionally, you eventually become emotionally connected to it. And that's why spring cleaning your life sometimes means cleaning up your conversations too. So I want you to ask yourself, do my conversations inspire growth or do they revolve around dysfunction with these people? Do I leave interactions feeling lighter or emotionally heavy? And listen, I'm not saying life has to be toxic positivity. No, people need support, people need safe spaces, and people need honesty. But there is a difference between processing and permanently living in negativity. There are people who do not want solutions. They want emotional residence inside of dysfunction. And if you're not careful, they will pull you directly into it too. Right? And I know you know those people. I know those people, and I stay away from those people. And last, I want to talk about one sensitive topic: insecure people, right? This is going to be a delicate one, but this one right here is so important because the clutter blocking your next level is sometimes other people's insecurity because insecure people project a lot. And if you're empathetic, you may internalize projections that were never yours to carry. Some people will criticize your growth, minimize your dreams, compete with you indirectly, gossip about you behind your back, judge your visibility, mock your healing, question your boundaries. They're just negative, right? And not because you're wrong, not because you're wrong, but because your evolution triggers their discomfort. And I need people to understand this deeply. People who are uncomfortable with themselves often become uncomfortable with people who are evolving because your confidence may expose their insecurity. Your boundaries may expose their lack of boundaries, and your healing may expose what they refuse to confront. And instead of growing, some people project. And that projection can be, you've changed. You think you're better. You're too much. You're selfish now. You used to be fun. Why are you doing this? You care too much about yourself. No, 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 no. You just stopped shrinking. You're growing. You're doing your own thing. You're moving on to your next level, and they possibly are not. And friends, that is the thing that spring cleaning your life is all about. It's not the punishment, it's the preparation. And you're making room for your next chapter, and rightfully so. You deserve it. You fully deserve it. And sometimes the breakthrough isn't about becoming more. Sometimes the breakthrough is finally releasing what's been weighing you down all along. My name is Jessica Cherry, and you can catch brand new episodes every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on KWVH 94.3 Wimberley Valley Radio. And of course, you can listen anytime, anywhere on your favorite podcast platform. Just search She Will Empower, and I will be right there waiting for you. And if you're an early riser or trying to become one, come hang out with me every Tuesday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. on the Wake Up Club on Wimberley Valley Radio. It's cozy, it's fun, it's full of great music and real conversations. And honestly, it's one of the best ways to start your morning feeling grounded, connected, and a little more alive. Now, if you're here in Central Texas and your nervous system feels fried, overwhelmed, or like you've been running on fumes for way too long, I would love to see you in person at Lone Star Sound Baths. Just search Lone Star Sound Baths on social media and you'll find me. I guide immersive sound bath experiences designed to help you soften, settle, and truly reset your mind, body, and your spirit. It's one of the most healing offerings I provide, and serving our community in this way is something I deeply love. And you can also connect with me through Ladies Lifestyle Network Hayes County, where I host monthly empowerment and networking events all across the Hill Country. These gatherings feature powerful speakers, local nonprofits, incredible women owned businesses, and some truly beautiful venues. Women come to these rooms to grow, to be seen, and to rise together. And I watch lifelong friendships and game changing business connections form right before my eyes in these rooms. And if you want a more personal look behind the scenes of motherhood, entrepreneurship, healing, and real life as it unfolds, you can find me over on social media at Life of a Cherry Wife. And if you ever need help with social media and marketing, you can find me on Howdy Social. Truly, thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for showing up, for doing the work, and for choosing growth even when it stretches you. And before you go, I want you to do one small thing for your future self, even something tiny, because tiny moves add up, tiny choices compound, and sometimes one small decision becomes the moment that changes everything. Tiny moves create big impact, and big impact can be the confidence boost you need today. So stay powerful, stay connected, stay grounded, and have the most amazing, beautiful day and week. I will see you next time. Bye.